So slashed and torn.
And good morning, everybody. How are we all doing this fine afternoon, actually? It is Larsen Live. It is not morning. It is 12:05 p.m. We opened up with Under Pressure, not by Billy Joel, Biff Slankovich, by Queen and David Bowie, from the album Hot Space, which was Queen's disco fury attempt, which didn't go over so well at the time, but apparently Michael Jackson was a really big fan. He said it was a big influence on Thriller, actually. True story. But yes, this week was quite the thing. It's in particular, once we get to the pop culture part of the stream, I'm going to pop the hell off, but yeah, more on that later. I am here today in the studio with my beautiful wife, and the dog that we're sitting. We are dog sitting. This is the last day that the lovely pup is going to be staying with us. She is very nice, and I would say hello. Ask you all to say hello, but yeah, she's currently spending time with my wife. Yes, hello, Ruby. But anyway, let's get to the title story. Let's just hit the ground running. How dare Mr. Beast provide people water? You see, it kind of makes sense because Mr. Beast provided water to the good people of Kenya, or Kenya, as Freddie Mercury might have pronounced it. And Freddie Mercury collaborated with David Bowie on that song, and David Bowie's wife was Somalian. Just shut up, it makes sense. It's all East Africa, it's all the Horn. It makes sense. Rick says Larsen can perform under pressure. Well, I don't know about that, but well, we try our best here. Also, I got a new subscriber, a Wojciech Kropivnicki. Ah, Jak Shemesh, my Polish friend. It's good to have you aboard. Anyway, yes, Mr. Beast had the audacity to use his vast YouTube monies to build wells in Kenya. 100 wells, water wells, all across the Republic of Kenya. He provided clean drinking water for more than 500,000 people, and people were not happy about this. How could that be? Like, why would people be upset that somebody was providing clean drinking water to the people? Well, literally and figuratively, well, it's because Mr. Beast happens to be a white man, and said white man providing clean drinking water to the bedraggled African peasantry came off a bit paternalistic, shall we say. It came off a bit, dare I say, colonialist. Yes. Many activists are upset with Mr. Beast because he is a white male who dared to solve the problem. A Saran Kaba Jones, the founder of Face Africa, FACE, which is an acronym for something or other, says, I've been doing this for 15 years, digging wells, but we've been struggling to continue the work because funding, awareness, and advocacy all take work. Then overnight, a white male with a huge platform just comes along and does it, and he gets all the attention. It's frustrating, but it's also understanding the nature of how the world is, she said, before giving him a weak thank you. Now, personally speaking, having worked in the public sector in the kind of 5013C NGO sector, I can tell you that a lot of the big charities are full of crap. I mean, they pay very big salaries to advocates and awareness raisers, which are bullshit jobs, and small pennies are what actually go to the actual task at hand. Now, of course, there's nothing wrong with donating to charities, but if you're going to donate to charity, I would suggest kind of donating to your local church, volunteering at the local soup kitchen or the local Habitat for Humanity, something local, something that you can see the results like with your own eyes, instead of just throwing money at the problem. Most of that's going to the pockets of, NGO do-gooders and warlords. Just FYI. Others were upset that Mr. Beast, and I quote, highlighted the failures of the Kenyan government. It maintains the stereotype that Africa is dependent upon handouts and philanthropic intervention. Well, I mean, I'm sorry that it's racist to provide clean drinking water to the people, but I think you ought to thank the man for doing so. I'm going to be honest, I didn't even know how wells work exactly until I looked it up while I had some time off at work. Yeah, apparently I didn't know that in theory, if you dig it deep enough anywhere, you'll hit the aquifer at some point. And then you got to put in piping to, get the wells. This is news to me. I feel like it's a bit of a disappointment that, not every person knows how to dig a well, but apparently you can. Mr. Beast says, I already know I'm going to get canceled because I uploaded a video helping people. And I want to be clear, I don't care. Well, good for him. I mean, I name drop Mr. Beast in the very small hope that he will throw some viewers my way. Yeah, that's not going to happen. I recently hit 5,200 subscribers. Yay. But yeah, I mean, the man had the audacity to provide water, and this is bad. Susan's when I drink my coffee here. I'm sure his I'm sure his water wells are, competently dug, if not the greatest. Incidentally, I recently had, just the other night, I got to eat at Mr. Beast Burger, and it was competent, not particularly special. I mean, it was a solid 6 out of 10 as far as burger joints go. I mean, personally speaking, Larsen burgers are way better, but, I don't have a massive platform like him. I don't even know what he does still. I've still never seen a single one of his damn videos. My wife tells me that apparently he just like has money and he like just throws it around. He makes it rain. Uh, good for him. Okay, we got some comments here. Clint H says he went on vacation to Baja and I bumped into Jason Blaha. Is Jason Blaha still a balding, fat tub of shit? I would assume so. I mean, has he made any videos in recent years? I genuinely do not know. And, for the record, I even say in my Jason Blaha video analyzing the Blaha autism, yeah, he's stronger than me in the just in the sense of just pure lifting strength. Yeah, he's probably stronger than me. He can squat more than me. He can deadlift more than me. But unlike Jason Blaha, I may not be as strong as him, but I don't gasp for air just getting up out of a chair. And unlike Jason Blaha, or that I should say, I bet Jason Blaha can't do a handstand like I recently just mastered the other day. And that makes me feel really good about myself, I say, as I slowly come to the realization that my New Year's resolution to do the splits this year has, as of yet, failed, and it's probably not going to succeed in the next couple of months. Next month and a half, I should say. But anyway, C Punk Messiah says it's a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. I mean, I don't want to be the guy who's like, yeah, I'm okay with just letting you people, dehydrate to death. That's not nice. But in the grand scheme of things, I feel like giving like constant money is just sort of creating like a manna from heaven situation, and it's not really helping in the long run. C-Punk Messiah also says, don't get in between a recreational complainer and their source of complaints. It's yeah, it's some people just they would rather complain than actually solve the problem. And I think all of us have that problem to some extent. But yes, a tweet said it best. White people only act to preserve and perpetuate their own power, but then also, how dare white people help black people? But yeah, I'm glad for Mr. Beast. I have still never seen any of his videos. I have no idea what the man does exactly. But hey, he derailed the grift train, and I think that's pretty damn good. Hey, let's see. Dave Stankovich says, I just got a copy of Enough by Cassidy Hutchinson. Good read. I have no idea what that is, sir. I'm going to look it up right now. Okay, who is this? Hey. She was a assistant to a person who was the White House chief of staff during the Trump presidency. I see. For some reason, I thought it was a novel adaptation of that movie where uh, Billy Campbell from The Rocketeer punches Jennifer Lopez in the face a lot. I was like, who was adapting that into a novel? But anyway, Clint H says, I only came across Jason Blaha from your videos, then watched a few of his videos. He's one of the biggest bullshitters I've ever seen. Yeah, he is. there's a lot of horse shit in the fitness community and the martial arts community. I mean, there's the double Jasons, Jason Blaha and Jason Genova, the Liver King. It never stops with these people. But I mean, the Jason Blaha's life of sitting on his ass playing World of Warcraft for 10 hours a day, living off his wife, is well known to the masses. And I don't know why anybody would ever dare listen to him. But anyway, let's leave Africa behind for a while. Today is Veterans Day. And related to that, the United States Army is having, and the military in general, is having massive recruitment crises. I mean, why? I don't know why. Perhaps it's because people are slowly realizing that America hasn't fought a legitimate war, a war that needed to be fought since 1953. People realize that we're just a big pay piggy for the rest of the world. People realize that we don't fight for our own country. And dare I say, people are a bit angry about it. I don't care what you think about the mental acuity of the scrappy rednecks who have always been the backbone of the American military. Eventually, even Buford and Cletus are going to figure out that, they're getting dicked over. And perhaps not coincidentally, the Army has made a shocking change in their recruitment ads. The ads have, square-jawed manly men doing manly things, jumping out of helicopters and doing the things that any sensible person would associate with the military. There's no more ads about, cartoon lesbian moms and, fat people dancing around. I'm a bit worried personally because if the Army is again admitting that, this is a group of killers being trained to kill people instead of a group of social workers with rifles, dare I say we might be going to war real soon. I'm personally a bit afraid. But I'm not afraid enough to be able to. I mean, what if a recruiter comes to me and tells me, hey, Larsen, you're going to go to war? I will look you right in the eye and tell you to go fuck yourself. Yes, I'm telling you right now. Want to take me to jail? Go ahead. I refuse to fight for a country that hates me. It really is like the thing with the Bud Light when after the Dylan Mulvaney thing didn't go over as planned. Bud Light immediately started putting ads with Clydesdales and truck driving and burly working class schlubs doing working schlub things. Yeah, it's not gonna work. You can pump fake the dog with the tennis ball only so many times before it realizes you're getting you're pissing him off. I don't think this is gonna work either. Hey, we got some comments coming here. OMAD Revolution gives me a high five. Your hand is bright pink, sir. You might want to get that checked out. But yes, hello. Clint H. Last, presumably out of, amusement of the Jason Blaha thing, the Blahautism. Yeah, speaking of the military, Jason Blaha did not serve in the military, but he really tries to pretend that he did. And he also went as far as to hire an actor to talk about, old war stories, quote unquote. Talk about Jason, zeroing, targets at like 200 yards. He did no such thing. Hey, OMAD Revolution says kids are too out of shape and fat to pass the physicals. Well, I think that's a major part of it, but I mean, from what I know personally, like I'm a out of shape. I like to think. I'm sorry, I'm not out of shape. I am not out of shape. I should say. I like to think of myself as a masculine man who does manly things, and yeah, I'm just gonna put my foot down and say I'm not going to fight for a country and a government that doesn't like me very much. I'm hearing a lot from people I train with, including some of my friends who actually did serve in the military, they're like, yeah, I wouldn't go back if you paid me enough, even if you paid me. Clint H. says here in England, the recruitment crisis is too. It's because the West has become weak with all the woke BS and victim mentality people out here. We are raising a generation of soft people. Indeed, sir. And I am glad that you can admit that this is a thing going all throughout the West. I know everybody in Europe likes to blame America for le wokisme, which is funny because 5 years ago they were talking about how reactionary and fascist we were. But as long as you can criticize America for some reason, I kid, of course. Rick says, I will leave it to Emma and her two mothers, referring to the lesbian mom commercial that I was referring to. Yes, this is no longer a country for the scrappy redneck types. So, yeah, why don't we let the, daughters of lesbian moms and, 4 foot tall, 5 foot wide transgenders fight for this country? Hey, it's your country now. You're the reason this country's good, right? So saddle up, gentlemen and ladies, Z's and Zers. Timothy Adams says, why would anybody fight to give Nancy Pelosi her multi-million-dollar retirement? I don't know, sir. I would not. Yeah, it's happy Veterans Day though. Yep, 250 years of the United States military existing, and it was only 170 years before they stopped fighting wars that were worth fighting. But moving on, that's going to make me a bit depressed. Let's see. Oh, actually, speaking of, kind of related to that, uh, the GOP debates happened, and I didn't watch the whole thing. I watched a little bit of it, but yeah, from what I was told, that they went about 40 minutes into the debate, and it was entirely about funding the militaries of foreign nations, funding Israel, funding Ukraine. At no point did anybody ever remotely talk about, helping the United States. It's almost as if they don't see America as a country at all. They see the United States as a credit card stretched across the plains. They see America as a pay piggy. They see America as a source of cheap cannon fodder. But nobody seems to see America as a nation. And dare I say, that is one of the major schisms in this country's politics today. Those who see America as a nation, with its good points and its bad points, but a nation that could be preserved, and those who see America as merely a credit card, a natural resource, something that is to be here exploited by everybody, a youth hostel for the ethnic blood feuds of the world. How do you see the United States? Personally, I like to think of it as a nation, with its good and bad points, but apparently I'm a minority in this. Okay. Narahari Kamath says the real war that the USA is fighting is the economic war. De-dollarization is in full swing. Likely by the 2030s, the US dollar is going to lose its international credibility. Yes, I think that is an option. I don't know if the renminbi is going to pick up the slack. I mean, the United States is, amongst other things, still the world's biggest agricultural producer. So if the United States goes down, it's not going to be like wine and roses. It's, it's just going to be bad for everybody. Mr. Deed 72 says less and less young people in the West despise their countries and have to create their own fake struggles to rail against. I don't know if less and less young people despise their countries. I mean, I think if anything, it's more and more because they've been specifically taught to do so. I definitely don't think it's less young people despise their countries. Yeah, this country's going down the shitter, as you can see. I mean, there's quite a few reasons that's happening. Actually, in fact, I could talk heavily about why this country sucks and why I feel really bad for the veterans who are fighting for this hunk of shit. Okay? An article from a few months earlier this year, but it says American IQs are dropping. Here's why it might not be a bad thing. You know, dare I say, Christy Parr, the writer of this article, I think it is a very bad thing that the IQs are, you know, dropping. Another comment said it best. We're fucked. Here's why it might not be a good thing, or might not be a bad thing. Yeah, that's dare I say, one wonders why this is happening. There's probably quite a few reasons why this is happening. I mean, not the least of which is that a lot of kids just don't seem to give a shit anymore. I don't see a lot of desire to learn amongst the young whippersnappers that I teach. I mean, I would also argue that the cultural output we have is very clearly, shitty, and you can really see the decline in cultural output in this country, even in like the last 20 years. Perhaps it's nutrition. Perhaps it's because educational standards have been deliberately destroyed because it would be offensive to do otherwise. It would be offensive to POC. Or maybe it's because the government wants a nation of morons they can control more easily. I don't know. I mean, it does feel pretty good for me to walk around like a goddamn superhero compared to the bedraggled peasantry that surrounds me. But, that feeling of smug superiority only lasts for so long when you realize, oh God, I have to live with these damn people. You all know that I have some major issues with the school system, and that's a major part of it. Dare I say, it's also kind of hard to learn when feral Brappies are ruining everything. Hey, let's see. Mr. Dees confirms that, yes, he did mean more and more young people. Yes. Shinseki Evans says, I'm not imagining it. People are getting dumber. Oh, yeah, people are definitely getting dumber if the trends of, bone smashing and Tide Pod eating and Benadryl challenges haven't tipped you off. C-Punk Messiah, host for the Butlerian Jihad. Yeah, I hope the sleeper does awaken at some point. I don't think that's happening. Clint H says, one of the main reasons, presumably for the recruitment crisis, is the attack on manly men. Gotta have masculine men in society to keep the balance. People in our nation are trying to cancel masculine men. Yeah, I mean, Orwell once said that, we sleep soundly in our beds because very bad, violent men commit violence on our behalf. I'm not even sure if that's true, considering I was just seeing a video over breakfast that, pro-Hamas protesters are in, the New York subways, of course, causing a ruckus, and the police are literally cowering in fear of them. So what exactly do the police do exactly? And, I'm sure they'll act really tough next time some vigilante pops off a few people, as is always the case. But dare I say, when the state is no longer capable of committing violence to keep things under control, this is when vigilantism starts. Timothy Adams says education in America has been democratized. Yeah, it sure has. C-Punk Messiah says, more and more, I'm okay with living like a monk. Yes, we all are. I mean, believe me, the temptation to just wander off to the bamboo forest and just, live in a shed and, practice martial arts is deeply tempting. But we can't do that. But yeah, speaking of, see, this all kind of ties together. Uh, Yes, as we know, the crime situation in this country is not good, mainly because people allow it to be not good. Such as in this story, there's a violent psychopath, one man, in Greenpoint, Brooklyn, terrorizing the neighborhood. He's a man with severe mental illness. He's harming neighbors. Nobody knows what to do, says the Gothamist. I mean, every it's a big debate amongst the, you know, weesh, soy bearded, gentrifiers in this neighborhood. Clearly removing him for the community's safety is not an option. But let's read this article, shall we? Okay. Yes, a lady was mildly assaulted by this gentleman. She posted it on Reddit. Multiple people said that they had also encountered this man. He faces charges ranging from harassment, menacing, assault, attempting to stab people, groping, sexual assault. He has been to jail and psychiatric hospitals dozens of times. He has started and stopped treatment for alcoholism. He is mentally ill. What do we do? Is there an option to move? Nobody's capable of confronting this man. I mean, dare I say, I don't know when Brooklyn had its nuts cut off, but it seems to me like if this was, Brooklyn from 100 years ago, somebody would have taken a baseball bat to this guy, like, already, and the problem would have been done with. I've seen, like, art photographs by, like, Ansel Adams and, like, Dorothea Lange of, like, scrappy, like, New York City kids, like, fighting on rooftops from, like, the 20s and 30s. Like, where are those New Yorkers? Like, why isn't somebody stomping this guy out? Like, I'm sorry to sound crude, but, like, when you've assaulted both physically and sexually, many people, I my uh, my sympathy is very low. I don't care what the Gothamist says. Speaking of Gotham, somebody could just put on a Batman costume and kick this guy's ass. I mean, I'll do it if you pay me. Okay, Clint H is laughing. Mr. Deed says gender ideology, critical race theory, and revisionism is being taught over reading and math. Yeah, I can tell you the same, and I've heard the same. I've heard the same complaints from, like, people of all races and all ethnicities. So there is a large, you know, I would say, dare I say, the majority of people in the United States who are against all this horse shit. I talked about this months ago that studies have shown that literally what the American people want has no effect whatsoever with what our legislators do. Something's got to give at some point. I think a major problem is that enough people just don't suffer the consequences of their actions. People vote for this soft on crime nonsense. People vote to just, deinstitutionalize people and, just let screaming derelicts on the street. And, some people are affected by it, but it doesn't sink into these people's heads. Like, you voted for this. You were the one who wanted these screaming brappies to be on the street. You'd think that, like, people would eventually, just in a fit of pure rage, you think people would, take matters into their own hands, which is basically how I solve 90% of my problems. I just kind of endured until I get frustrated to the point where I can't take it anymore, and I just, like, kind of come out swinging. But no, nobody knows what to do with this screaming, violent criminal. Yeah, I myself, it affected me almost. Like, before I met my wife, I was going out with this girl briefly who lived in Long Island, and yeah, like, I went home with her on the train. I was going to do it anyway, but yeah, she was like, I feel nervous about, this guy on the platform, some screaming Brappy. So I did the chivalric thing and I brought her home. A week later, that guy shoved the woman in front of a train and killed her. So like, it's happening all around us. Nobody's doing anything. Like, I mean, maybe just getting a bunch of angry chuds with baseball bats to clean up the streets isn't like the best solution, but it would be a solution. I mean, I really don't want things to be solved with violence, but when you let the situation deteriorate to such a massive degree, I feel like violence might be the only thing we can do. Shinseki Evans says his own mother was brainwashed by NPR. Votes all D in every election. Well, the thing is, like, the Democrats weren't always like this. I mean, I can't imagine, like, John F. Kennedy, like, allowing screaming Brappies to take over the streets, or, like, Franklin Roosevelt, or, like, anyone like that. I mean, it's, this is getting bad. All across the cities in this country, like, screaming Brappies are terrorizing the streets, and nobody can do anything. Nobody can do a goddamn thing. Well, actually, I rephrase that because people can, in fact, do something. They just choose not to. And what do I mean by that exactly? It's because San Francisco is having a summit between Joe Biden and Chinese Premier Xi Jinping. The summit is being held in San Francisco. All the drug addicts and hordes of homeless, like, derelicts and, like, screaming lunatics downtown in San Francisco, right off Fulton Street, and right off the BART station in front of the town square in the city hall. Yeah, they just disappeared overnight. Curiously, it's when the world's most powerful communist comes to America. That's when San Francisco cleans up its act. But yeah, I mean, they cleaned up the goddamn streets like within seconds. They just they could end crime. They're choosing not to. And frankly, that annoys me. Yes, I'm told that such a thing does happen fairly frequently in California. When the big, tech companies go to Silicon Valley for conventions, the San Francisco government will clean up all the, street shitters and brappies, and then they just move them away temporarily, and then they come back. Similarly, Los Angeles on Oscar night, moves all the homeless people off Hollywood Boulevard, sends them to Skid Row. You know, I hate to say it, but like, they don't care. These people, they want. They think it's like it's more authentic to to have like screaming brappies and taking dumps on the street. It's racist and it's fascist to clean up the streets, man. And never mind the fact that like the vast majority of people suffer because they have to deal with this shit. The children suffer, the people suffer. People can't have families. People can't, buy a decent house because everywhere you go, it's screaming fucking lunatics. Personally, I get a little bit angry at this. Yeah. Mr. Deed says, aren't there mental asylums anymore? No, there actually aren't. They've closed down, they've deinstitutionalized many, many mental asylums in this country. That started, with Reagan and the community care shit. Asylums and detaining people just became, let's give them lithium and hope they take it. A lot of times they don't take it. And coincidentally, that's when the goddamn school shootings started to happen, but I'm sure that's a complete coincidence. Mr. Deed says, bring back the guardian angels. Yeah, I don't know if old Curtis Slee was going to help us out that much. I mean, it would be nice if, I know, a major problem is that people who fight back, they are the ones who get penalized because, the precious screaming derelicts are more important. Shinseki Evans says, my city moves the bums every election season to dupe the voters into thinking they're doing something. Yes, they do. Now, thankfully, where I am, there don't seem to be too many, brappies and derelicts. At least, not that I can see on the streets. I mean, I've had to deal with some brappy shithead students, but, you know, for the time being, they're not on the street. Like, obviously, I know we have to have some sympathy for the mentally ill, but my sympathy really ends when you actually like kill people, which many of them do. And I feel like, sometimes you have to be cruel to be kind. You have to, force people to mental asylums, force them to rehab, because no other country does this like mealy mouth, like soft on crime bullshit out of some idiotic sense of guilt. Like, nobody does this. Nobody goddamn does this. And incidentally, on Twitter, I saw like some cretin was like, America has never criticized itself. America, the West doesn't criticize itself. I'm like, what are you, high? Like, everything I'm describing comes from some sense of like American guilt and self-loathing. Like, look, I want to break this down for you, all right? America mourns its founding. America thinks that it should not exist. America tears down its heroes and its statues of its heroes and replaces them with drug-addled felons and brappies. America doesn't have any sort of customs agency because it would be bad and it would make us feel bad to do otherwise. America pays cretins millions of dollars to lecture us about how much we suck. Like, the United States academia invented critical theory, an academic discipline about self-loathing. Like, we allow brappies to terrorize us out of guilt. Like, only a goddamn moron would think we don't criticize ourselves. Like, all of this has to do with that. Okay. But then again, I would say that sitting around feeling sorry for yourself isn't really helping matters. I mean, they pay lip service to, like, patriotism and saying that we're the best, even though anyone with half a brain can clearly see that's not the case. Okay. Rick says, I had a coworker who told me she was ashamed her ancestors came from Jamestown. Yeah, they starved for that, so you could be ashamed of them. But yeah, like, I mean, I don't know if there's a single country that's like more self-loathing than the United States is right now. Personally speaking. But oh, and incidentally, speaking of a sense of weaponized self-loathing, and also mass shootings, by the way, the manifesto of the Nashville school shooter, Audrey Hale, was allegedly leaked. And it was exactly what you think it would be. A bunch of whining about white privilege and, evil Christian white men ruining everything. And she, or he, whatever gender this person was taking their vengeance out upon the people they hated. It's exactly what we expect to happen. Oh, incidentally, there was a hammer attack in the National Gallery. Speaking of, Clint there being in the UK, yeah, there was a hammer attack. There were some paintings in the National Gallery in London being smashed up with hammers. Well, I guess it's good that they've kind of stopped using oil. They're using hammers instead. Again, I would say that if you try to touch some of the, I guess you could call them the American masters, I would come out swinging to defend those paintings. That is my heritage, damn it. It's Hey, do we have any new comments? No, we do not. We have 13 people watching, and yet nobody's talking. Dare I say, I miss Ponythroat and his like horse-related insanity. Okay. Yeah, speaking. Let's see, what should I talk about now? Should I talk about it shit's sucking either way. Should I talk about how 2% of the asylum seekers in New York City have applied for work permits and the other 98% are just sitting around doing nothing? Or should I talk about how they're building a new model of schools? Ah, here's my beautiful wife with coffee. Thank you. But actually, yeah, I'm going to talk about this school thing. There's a new model of school which is being tested out now. A model in which teachers can now live and work under one roof at school. Oh boy, I can go to my crappy studio apartment and then just roll out of bed and go to work in the school. I can't leave my apartment. Woo. Yeah, that's where I want to be. I want to be in the goddamn school for even more than 8 hours a week. Okay. I mean, I used to teach in the public schools. I don't want to live in the goddamn school. I mean, are we one step away from bringing back company towns? Let's see. OMAD says, I'm on a roll. Keep going. Biff Slankovich asked, define Brappy. Well, sir, a Brappy is like a screaming, violent derelict on the street who makes like inarticulate brap noises with his mouth and assaults people. That's a Brappy. They come in all colors, all ethnicities, and I can't say I care for them very much. Clint H says, referring to his country, old Blighty, tearing down our statues, and most of those people doing this are immigrants who came here for a better life. Now they're telling the country how to feel and think. Yes, believe it or not, I do actually support the idea of the melting pot, but doesn't seem to be much melting going on. Things are just getting hot and bothered without melting down and becoming a glorious fondue mix. C Punk Messiah says, any fail sons in your crosshairs? Not right now. I mean, I am, believe it or not, working on the kind of book, the video, sorry, of Frank Dukes' book, The Secret Man. I mean, that's kind of a fail son because, I mean, that book is a glorious failure of like stolen valor horseshit. But, other than that, no. Biff Stankovich says Curtis Sliwa ran for mayor. They did not elect him. Yeah, I'm actually starting to think maybe I should run for mayor just so I can like kind of slowly start this country not sucking anymore. Because personally, I mean, I feel that the way to solve this without violence, and I really hope we don't have to resort to violence to fix things in this country, is to kind of start with your local, like small time elections. Run for dog catcher, run for city council. I don't know how the term running for dog catcher became an American idiom, considering that dog catching is a skilled position and therefore you wouldn't elect for it. It's something that people actually need talent for. Sorry, but yeah, run for like if you want to affect change, you got to fix things in your own small town or small city or burg wherever. Start there, make positive changes, and then you're going to go to the next town, the next county. Fix things. Then slowly, very slowly, but inexorably, you're going to fix up the country. This is not something I will ever likely see in my lifetime, but I think if you're going to fix anything in this country, that's what you got to do. But yeah, this idea of like teachers living in the schools, it's it's not good. I mean, I'm gonna not make the inevitable joke about teachers molesting their students, but personally, I mean, some students got mad at me for having the audacity to discipline them. I don't want them like leaving flaming dog poop bags in front of my crappy studio apartment. Yeah, like comments in the Twitter thread are like, teenage me would have concentrated all the teachers' cars in one place for toilet papering. Hey. Oh, mad. Says, talk about wokeism and the liberals paradoxically supporting Palestine. Yes, I mean, I've talked about that many times in the past, not that specific issue, but sort of the inanity of like Weish liberal types supporting, the most reactionary group of people on the planet. But then you realize that it's really just they hate the United States, and anybody who fights the United States is therefore good, which is why they support like extreme left wingers, but also extreme right wingers. Clint H says, "When is the secret man Kung fail coming? I've been waiting for it. It's going to come, sir. I just been very busy at work." C Punk Messiah says, "If Texas tears down its statues, they should be replaced by statues of Dimebag, Daryl, and Vinnie Paul." Yes, I agree. I mean, great musicians should be honored alongside war heroes and politicians. Shinseki Evans says, "I know a moderate that ran for office. Antifa menaced her. Fired a gun at a guy at her rally. She lost. She will never run again." Uh, yeah. I mean, I like to think that I would, pull a Teddy Roosevelt if I got shot in my rally. I would just walk up and do the speech anyway. But I, uh, I mean, that's really not something you can gamble on, whether or not I will live or die from a sucking chest wound. I mean, TR was lucky. I don't know if I would be. But moving on. Okay, let's see what we got here. Can we get to the pop culture news? Yes. Yes, we can. As we approach the end game of this stream. First of all, in pop culture news, talking about the utter clown show that is this country, USA Today declares it now has exclusive Taylor Swift reporting. Not media, not entertainment, not celebrity news. Exclusive Taylor Swift reporting. Reporting on one goddamn celebrity. And I don't know, I've heard about 3 of her songs in my life, but like, why, does she need that much goddamn reporting? I mean, she's not a bad singer, but like, is she? What is she? Is she Emily Dickinson? Is she creating such magnificence that she needs constant reporting about her, you know, everyday activities? And who is this guy who like has the Swift beat? And yes, I say guy, 35-year-old Brian West. Full-time Taylor Swift reporter. What does Mr. West, Mr. I'm not going to call him Ms. West because that would be very mean of me. He wants to ask Taylor Swift, "I love Wildest Dreams. I can't believe that was your heartbeat. Were you taking a pulse and you're like, hold on, I got to record it?" I don't know that song. Okay. Is she that good of a singer that she needs that much goddamn reporting? Okay. Mr. Deed says something. I didn't see what it was. C-Punk Messiah says, "Never got what was so special about her. My friends suck her dick hard and I don't get it." I mean, she's not a bad singer. I mean, am I the only one who finds her like oddly like asexual? Like, there's just something about her that's just like it's like looking at like a granite statue or something. I don't know what it is, but like, it's just she just exudes like no sexuality whatsoever. And the comments are unhappy about this. Says Alicia Grouso, a woman with a jaw you could goddamn cut diamonds on. They hired a man to cover Taylor Swift. Okay. Yes, people were saying they should have picked some ladies like a Caitlin Collins or a Kelly Keegs. Kelly Keegs is a professional Swiftie, also the president of Barstool Sports New York. I don't know who any of these people are. Like, I don't know. The only interaction I have with Taylor Swift is me having to having to buy her sheet music to teach my students because she's apparently extremely litigious and she doesn't allow any like free music sheet websites to have her songs. So that's the extent of my interaction with Ms. Swift. But I don't know. I find it a bit silly. Like a major I'm sorry, not international, but a major national newspaper has to have a specific beat about one lady. She does tip well from what I hear, so I guess it's a point in her favor. Okay. Rick says Emily Dickinson would have been more public about her poetry if people would stop singing her poetry to the Pokemon theme. I have no idea what you're referring to. I gotta look that up. Okay. Emily Dickinson Pokemon theme. Okay, Emily Dickinson's Because I Could Not Stop Death. Okay. Let's check out these lyrics. I don't know these lyrics. I don't know these words. I mean, my knowledge of poetry tends to be more towards the, Kipling and the Tennyson side. Okay, because I could not stop for death, he kindly stopped for me. The carriage held but just ourselves and immortality. Holy shit, it works. Okay. Yes, perhaps she would have been more public if she knew about that, or if she could ask the people politely to stop singing her poetry to the Pokemon theme. Shinseki Evan asked, "Did you hear that Jezebel went under?" Yes, I did. Yes, I mean, I don't know. I mean, there's plenty of mediocre media websites and news websites that go under, and I don't really care all that much. There's few tears shed, in my opinion. Okay, moving on. Okay, also in pop culture news, uh, apparently in The Simpsons season 35 or whatever it is, Homer will no longer choke Bart. Times have changed. That is a direct quote. I like how apparently people were under the impression that strangling your son was normal in 1989. Uh, or maybe it's just that the Zoomers are so goddamn media addled that like they can't tell the difference between reality and cartoon exaggeration. I'm sorry, who's watching The Simpsons these days? Like, it's literally been bad for twice as long as it's been good. Considering that we're in a society where, well, to be frank, like, society has so fundamentally changed from, the days where The Simpsons was, in its prime, maybe the show should end. It should be a nice little relic of, the 90s. That did fundamentally change the American media, uh, her, media landscape. And maybe it should have been left to die. I've also been noticing recently that like a lot of the young whippersnappers seem to think that like the 1990s was like the 1910s. I saw a TikTok where it was like back in the 90s when there was no processed food and there was a picture of some fancy teapot. I'm sorry, were you under the impression that there was no processed food in the 90s? Like, you think kids were like taking a break from playing GoldenEye 007 on Nintendo 64 to go churn butter? I mean, to be granted, that would be like my ideal lifestyle, but that's neither here nor there. Like, please, for the love of God, like, can we understand like some basic history in this goddamn country? Like, fucking people. Oh, speaking of Nintendo 64, kind of, the big news that happened in the media sphere just last week is that, brace yourselves, everybody. Shigeru Miyamoto announces Legend of Zelda movie is greenlit. Uh, just literally pre-contract signing, no casting, no budget. Literally just a contract was signed. I was excited at first. Then I saw it was live action. Then I saw it was directed by the guy who directed The Maze Runner and produced by the guy who produced Morbius. You could literally see my enthusiasm dying in real time. Like, I mean, personally, I've said it before and I'll say it again that I think an animated series, a dramatic, mature animated series would be the best for said franchise. But, in theory, live action could work okay if you got like John Milius or Peter Jackson doing it, somebody who will take it seriously. But no, we're gonna morb all over this shit. So yeah, I don't have high hopes. I don't have high hopes personally. Oh, and as if on cue to kick my childhood nostalgia in the balls even further, and I emphasize balls. Like, literally, there was a massive Twitter thread saying, "Oh my God, let's make everybody in the cast a transsexual," like, which I don't approve. In fact, I literally want to put my head through the nearest goddamn plate glass window when I hear anybody use the phrase queer themes in conjunction with said franchise. And literally, this whole thing is just it's just porn addicted Zoomers like watching TikToks of that one goddamn scene in Breath of the Wild where you have to cross dress, and they're like, "Oh my God, this is like a game of this game is just a big gay pride parade." No, it's not. It's not. Yeah, yeah, I'm gonna see this movie. Not. Yeah, I know the Mario movie was competent, but let's be honest, Mario isn't exactly the deepest goddamn lore in the world. Whereas you could potentially make this good, actually, meaningful and powerful and impactful. They're not going to. Uh, Clint H asks, Larsen, are you a Democrat or Republican? I'm not talking about the maniac far left Democrats, though. I'm a registered independent, actually, sir. I can vote for both parties, but I vote for neither party. Yeah, so that does it for my prepared remarks. Uh, you can say whatever you want. You can say your last pieces, or you can put your fist through the wall at the thought of the Legend of Zelda movie being cast full of transgender, like, androgynes. I'm going to go get some coffee, and I'll put my mic on mute. All of you, say your last pieces. Okay, it doesn't seem like anybody has anything else to say. So, for Larsen Halleck, this has been Larsen Halleck. All of you have a good day.